Hi folks, this is model shipwright Steve Priske. Normally I show short videos of traditional model ships I've built, but this time I wanted to share with everyone the most unusual model ships I've been commissioned to build. Actually, this story is about a series of unusual ship models, all Polynesian catamarans, as used by the earliest Polynesian explorers and later as used by their descendant Hawaiian kings and warrior conquerors. A few years back, I was commissioned to build a Polynesian Twin Hulled Canoe, or catamaran, as used by the Polynesians that first discovered the Hawaiian Islands. About 3,000 years ago, coming from the Marquesas, or Tahiti and the environs, these 80-foot-long twin-hulled catamarans, sporting two large sails, made their way over 2,000 miles to the north, eventually landing at Hawaii. The model I was to build was inspired by the famous paintings of national treasure Herb Kawainui-Kane. Following a serendipitous call to Honolulu 911, I was immediately connected with Herb, and on explaining my commission project, he was gracious enough to provide me with his research drawings of these intrepid twin-hulled cats used to discover the whole Pacific before the first Viking longship or ocean-going square rigger was even contemplated. Turns out there are several engineering reasons these blue-water twin-hulled catamarans did so well in the open ocean. One being the shape of the stern of the cats that reached way up over 15 feet high. And this was to break the following waves that would otherwise swamp the boat from behind. Same with the upturned bows that often featured carved birds. They were thusly shaped to keep the boat from porpoising or sinking the front of the boat. High sideboards were added to help keep the hulls dry, and then there were two triangular sails with spars that acted as masts, and these were also moved around the deck as sailing needs called for. Over 50 occupants with adequate provisions could stay at sea for over 2 months on these incredible ocean-going catamarans. The model I was to build was built following the photos of paintings of Herb Kane from his numerous National Geographic articles. The hulls were rough-hewn from logs, which included a V-shape along the bottom, which helped in open ocean steering as opposed to paddle-driven cats, which have round bottoms. Rather than building the sails from grass, like the material as used on the originals, to avoid rotting over the years, I chose to make the sails from super thin balsa wood, the kind used in building model airplanes. The model, which measures just over 2 feet long and 1.5 feet tall, was mounted to a clear plexiglass base with a cover and a historic brass plaque. This model lives in the Hawaiian vacation home of what is said to be the second wealthiest man in Japan, a man who owns all the Kobe steakhouses in that nation. But that's not the purpose of this video. In doing the extensive research in the early Polynesian catamarans, as documented by Herb Kane, I couldn't help but be caught up in the story of how the Hawaiian Islands, for the first time ever, came under the control of one of the many Hawaiian island kings. Turns out after a couple thousand years of constant battles between one king or another, always ending in a stalemate, the previous balance of power was dramatically changed when King Kamehameha of the Big Island had over 800 Peleleu war catamarans built not with triangular sails, but square sails, and mounted cannons to the bows of the ships. It didn't take long after the chance encounter of King Kamehameha with the square rigger ship called the Fair American that he adopted the Western world's square-cut sails and used cannons on his war catamarans. This drastic alteration to the otherwise thousands of years unchanged design of the Hawaiian king's cats would help Kamehameha quickly conquer all the Hawaiian Islands. All of this was taking place in the far Pacific at exactly the same time as on the east coast of North America, the American Revolutionary War and the birth of a new nation was taking place. Here's how I built the square-sailed Peleleu war catamarans circa 1790s. Unlike their ancestral Polynesian catamarans with the V-shaped bottoms, triangular sails and high sideboards, The Peleleu War Catamarans were low to the water, round-bottomed, sported 1 or 2 masts with square-cut sails rigged like a tall ship. Ranging from 20 to about 50 feet for the longest, these fast warships were armed with a small cannon on the bow. Just imagine being one of the opposing Hawaiian warriors, never having more than a spear or a club as your weapon of war, now confronted with a cannonball blasting your ship apart in heavily shark-infested waters. The hulls were shaped from wooden stakes, as were the curved hull crossbeams. I used a rotary sander for most of this work. The hulls are connected with several custom-shaped curved wood dowels through large holes drilled into the tops of the hulls. Then, after meticulously marking, I Dremel drilled dozens of holes where the deck planks would be lashed to the cross-member dowels. The main deck structure was a thatched roof deck house. The boats were also equipped with large steering oars and paddles for rowing. For the sails, I used a scale-appropriate embroidery fabric that was spray-painted and tea-stained to achieve the desired look of pandanus leaf sails that were used on the real cats. A long vine of molly leaves were used atop the highest mast as a wind indicator. I like to mount my models to an Oregon myrtle wood base as it evokes the look of water in motion. I also display the models over a mirror base, which enhances the viewing experience for admirers of one's work. Final finishing touch is a historic brass plaque. I was fortunate to have a detailed article published in Scale Ship Modeler magazine on how I built the Polynesian Twin Hulled Catamaran, and am very proud to have the endorsement of Herb Kane, who once said to me he's had dozens of two-masted artists asking him for help over the years, but I was the first three-dimensional artist to ask him for help and to build some of his historic Polynesian Hawaiian ships. Thank you everyone for watching how I built the early Polynesian catamarans as used to discover the Hawaiian Islands. And then later, the Peleleu War Catamarans is used by King Kamehameha to conquer all of the Hawaiian Islands. And of course, special thanks to Hawaiian artist and a national treasure, Herb Kane, for all of his help and assistance with his plans and drawings and paintings. This is Steve Priske, Model Shipwright, signing off.